Stop using the 70% rule. Guys, it's Ricken, and today's video, I'm going to show you why the 70% rule no longer works in wholesaling. I'm going to show you how to put the perfect offer formula together, and if you stick with me to the end, I'm going to show you how to ditch your MAO for what we call an LAO. But before I get into it, make sure you smash that like button. You hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the absolute best information on wholesaling today. So we're talking about the 70% rule. I'm here to tell you guys, I've been in this business over 20 years, and this was a good rule when I started out. But in theory, square wheels were good too until they got rounded. And as we evolve in wholesaling, so did the sellers, so did everybody else involved. And so for that reason, if you stick to that old rule back from the 1980s, you are stuck in 1980 pricing, which is not applicable to today's wholesaling environment. You have to understand, at the end of the day, only one thing matters when it comes to your pricing of your wholesale deal. You can use whatever formula you want, but at the end of the day, your cash buyer is ultimately going to dictate how much they'll pay for it. And part of that has to do with market conditions and their willingness to take a risk on a deal. So your best source to get the pricing right is to find your cash buyers and you vet them, you talk to them, and you gather as much intel to get accurate pricing in today's market. So let's break down the 70% rule real simply. And you know, we're all about being much more progressive in our wholesaling models to get the best information that we can to our motivated sellers. So the 70% rule was just a fail safe. It's like saying if you found a $10,000 Rolex watch and it was on sale for $5,000, buy it because you'll easily make money. And I'm going to give you full disclosure. If you can buy a property at 70% of the ARV, do it. It will be easily sold and it is a no-brainer. The problem is very few properties fit into that tiny little mold, and you're going to be missing out on more deals than actual deals you do. If I stuck to the 70% rule 100% of the time, I would do very few deals, and that's the truth in wholesaling in today's age. You see, the 70% rule is what they call an MAO, and an MAO stands for Maximal Allowable Offer. And here's how the formula reads. You take the ARV value, which stands for the after repaired value, and then you multiply that by 70%, and then they minus off the repairs. And then from there, you're going to tack on whatever you think your wholesale fee is. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20,000. And that is what they call the MAO. The key word here is maximum allowable offer. The problem is a lot of people have adopted the 70% rule and hey, here's the number I came up with. This is the guru that taught it to me, and this is when I make my offer. Well, think about this for a moment. If that's your maximum offer, that means you're trying to get a yes on the first attempt. And the reality of wholesaling with real estate is you have to negotiate. So if you start at your top offer, where are you going to go from there? For that reason, the 70% rule has somehow been adopted. That's how you make your initial offer. And I'm here to tell you, if you take that approach, you are going to have a tough time in wholesaling. The MAO in the 70% rule, the maximum allowable offer, teaches investors, especially new investors, to go for that first yes. The reality, for you to get to yes, you have to go through no. If you try to get a yes on your first try, you will most likely fail. So why don't you prepare and go for the no, which will ultimately get you to the yes? I'm going to walk you through on how to do that in this video. So guys, on the 70% rule, I'm writing it out here on the board for you. Basically, if I had a line, okay, and we're the investor, and then this is going to be your seller, your motivated seller. Your 70% rule is, this is ultimately like what the seller wants right here, okay? And then this is what us investors think. You know, we got to get it really cheap. Here's the challenge, guys. If you do the MAO, the maximal allowable offer, you're starting out right at the tippy top of your offer. And the problem is, if you get a no, which most likely you're going to, where are you going to go from there? You are literally stuck. Where are you going to go if you just created your maximum allowable offer? And that's what you need to understand. So I'm going to teach you how to get a yes by actually going for a no. So I want you to think about it this way. Let's redraw that graph. Okay. And here's the investor and this is the seller. And instead of you starting on this side on an MAO, what if you started over here at an LAO? And an LAO stands for lowest allowable offer. here's the progression of how an LA goes. When you get a no, you can naturally go up in your price. As opposed with an MAO here, if you get a no, you're done. It's over. You just gave them your highest offer. There is no room to negotiate. There's nowhere to play, and you have no idea what you're gonna do with your discussion from there, because you can't have a negotiation because you've hit your ceiling. So what I want to show you is by actually doing an LAO, you can create an environment where you get what we call in this, when you're doing that, is you're going to get a counter from the seller. And when you get a counter from the seller, here's what happens. This is when the true negotiations start. For you to get to a yes, you've got to go through no. By getting a no from your seller, they're going to give you your reaction, and you want to listen carefully. I'm going to say, Rick, I talked over me and my wife. We cannot go below $142,000. Hey, great. 142,000. That, my friends, is the starting point of a negotiation. So I know I'm probably never going to pay more than 142. The question is, can I get them down to like 120? And with time, with building rapport and fulfilling their needs on trying to get the property sold and reiterating what the real challenge of the property is, you can most likely get your seller to head down towards you. You're heading up, and this creates a beautiful point that all negotiations going through. That's why the 70% rule is a one-stop shop. Most of you think is the 70% rule, as that's the initial offer I'm going to make. It's a maximum allowable offer, and for that reason, the 70% rule just doesn't work in today's market. Stick with me to the end. I'll show you how to offer on an LAO. But before I do that, I want to give you the perfect offer formula. So if the 70% rule doesn't apply to today's wholesaling, let me go ahead and show you the perfect offer formula and how you can use it towards your wholesaling in modern day. So what you want to do in the formula here is you're going to take your ARV and you're going to minus off the repairs. And then basically, if the property is under 120,000, you can use 0.7% because such a small number. If you have an ARV between 120 and 200,000, you multiply it by 0.8. And if you have an ARV of 200,000 to 275,000, it's 0.83. And if you have an ARV over 300,000, it winds up being 0.85. So I want you to guys duplicate this formula and understand this is how true markets work, because as your ARV numbers get bigger, the profits get much more wide. And when they get wide, investors can yield big returns. And the reality is, if you think every one of them is going to fit the 70% rule, they don't work. And keep in mind, that's your maximum allowable offer. Guys, use this offer here. It is a progressive chart and it works its way up. It works because we use it in our business. It is nothing more than a guide. Remember, your cash buyers are going to be your ultimate determinant of how much profit you make on your wholesale deals. So you've got to spend time with them. So we're talking about replacing your MAO with the LAO. And the theory on this, the practicality, and what I've used for thousands of properties is if you start low and you work your way up, you have room to talk and negotiate. So we already know that going in for your MAO on the first attempt is not going to yield you the results you want. It would be great if everybody said yes, but the reality is most of them are going to say no. So when you get a no, you want to turn that into a counter. So Rick, how do I use the LAO to replace the MAO? It's simple. And I'm going to write it out here. Just take your MAO, whatever number that is, and then basically I want you to simply subtract 30%. Why? Because you need to have room to work your way up. You have no idea what a motivated seller, what's the least amount that it will take. So you're somewhat guessing. So if my MAO offer was say 200,000, I would minus off 60,000, which is the 30%. And then basically that would yield me the $140,000 offer. Remember, that is your LAO. The really cool part is you can just keep going up with this offer till you get to what you call your MAO, which would be 200,000. And somewhere in this space, through a negotiation process, which all real estate requires, all business deals requires, and if you think you can skip it by just using the 70% rule, you are going to get a wake-up call. So I want to help you out with it. So by using the LAO, really simple, just take your MAO on the screenshot I showed you before, just minus off 30%. The reality is when you make your initial offer, you should have butterflies in your stomach, you should be nervous, and honestly, you should be scared, which means you're uncomfortable, which means you are are in the right area. If you do the opposite and offer an MAO, you're going to feel super comfortable and you might get a yes, and you're going to get the price wrong, and you're going to have to unwind it when your cash buyers beat you up. So I want you to replace your MAO with the LAO. It's really simple. You're going to make a low offer by building rapport and looking to get the counter. Once you get the counter, you can work that LAO up and up to your MAO. If it goes past that, then the deal doesn't work out, and it's that simple. Guys, by using the steps I've given you here, I've showed you how to replace the 70% rule, how to put in the perfect offer formula, and basically how to change your MAO mindset to use the LAO so you can get in negotiations. Because for you to get a yes, you have to get a no. To get to your yes destination, you have to go for the no. So guys, let me know in the comments, are you going to use the LAO and replace it? Are you going to use the perfect formula? And are you tired of the 70% rule being pushed on you by gurus, which was invented back in the 80s and is not really a modern way to evaluate any type of wholesaling properties? Let me know in the comments. Guys, if you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.